Now it's time to actually make this GUI do something when we press the buttons and stuff like that. So you may notice that I've made a couple of changes. My IDE now has a black background. I changed that so that it would be a little bit more visible or easier to read as we're doing these videos. Um, and also I changed the order of my code around a little bit, so I just want to do a quick walkthrough of what I have here. It's all the same stuff, but it's in a different order. So here we're making the application object. Here I'm making the window object, which is actually a Q widget, but we're calling it window. It's going to be the parent for all the other widgets. And then we have the layout that goes inside the window. Then we create three widgets, two buttons and a line edit. We add them to the layout. Then we set the layout for the window and show the window, execute the application, clean up our dynamic variables. Remember that um, uh, any child widgets will automatically be cleaned up by Qt, so we don't have to delete them. But since window doesn't have a parent, we have to clean that one up ourselves. So if you take a minute to pause the video and look through the code, make sure that you understand it before we move on. Alright, so now as promised, we're going to actually make this program do something. I'm going to run it real quick and see what happens. Alright, so here we have three buttons. None of them do anything, and we have a text and a line edit that we can type in, but that doesn't do anything either at this point. One other thing to notice is in the last video it showed up as something like this, and now when I'm running the program it's like this. That's because I moved the window show function. I previously had it up here right after I made the window, and then we added all this stuff to it, and then so we showed it first and then added stuff to it. So when we showed this empty window, it made it a default size of this, and then we added the widgets to it, so they were just added to this window that was at its default size. If we create the window and then we add a bunch of widgets to it and then don't show it until after the widgets have been added, now it's going to calculate the correct size at which to show the window. So now it's showing it packed tightly with the buttons and the line edit with not quite so much space in between. We can still resize our application, our GUI for the application, but it'll start off at this size. So now let's make our program do something. So in order to make our buttons cause something to happen, the Qt library uses something called signals and slots. So signals are messages that an object can give off, letting other objects know that something happened. So for example, when I run this, we have a button right here. When I click on this button, it sends off a signal that says, I've been clicked. I've been clicked. Same thing with this button right here. It sends off a signal that says, I've been clicked. When I type in the line edit box, it sends off a signal too that says, my text has been changed. My text has been changed every time that the text changes. So those are just ways that other components can know that something happened to that component itself, right? So that's what a signal is. A slot is a function that can react to that signal. So let's say that this widget has a function called close. So when you call this function, the window closes like this. We can actually connect the signal of pushing the button to the slot of closing the window, or any other slot that exists out there, so that they'll be tied together. When I push this button, it sends off a signal, and then any slots that are listening for that signal will execute. So let's look at how we can do that. So first off, we're going to put that code. So we've created our window and put all our objects in it. Before we show it, I'm going to do some connecting. So we do this with the connect function, and this function belongs to the QObject class. So QObject connect, and this function takes 4 parameters. There's the source object, whatever's giving off the signal, and then we say signal and the name of the signal. Then we give the receiving object or destination object. That's the one that's going to react to hearing the signal. And slot name. Alright, so this is how we do the connect a signal and a slot. So 4 things. We have the object that gives off the signal. Then we have the signal itself, the thing that receives the signal, and the slot that the object is going to react with when it gets that signal. So you can think of signals and slots, I think of it kind of like Batman. So when Commissioner Gordon, the source object, gives off the bat signal, the receiving object is going to be Batman, and he'll react by fighting crime. Right? So let's put that into action with our GUI that we have here. So what's going to be the sending signal? Let's say that when I run this program, when I click on button 1, it closes the window. So the source object is going to be button 1. And again, most of the Qt functions will be expecting a pointer to a Q object. So button 1 is going to be the source. And what signal is it going to give us? Well, autocomplete is nice. It'll give us some examples of signals. So there's clicked, another version of clicked, destroyed, pressed, released, toggled. There's some different signals that it can send out. And right now we're just going to go with clicked. We can explore the other signals later on. Okay, so when button 1 sends out the signal clicked, what's going to be our destination or receiving object? Well, let's say it's window, because we're going to make window react to that signal. So we give the pointer called window, and what slot do we want window to react with? Alright, so it has close, delete later, hide, lower, raise, repaint. It has a bunch of slots that we can use to react to that signal. So which one are we going to use? Let's use close for right now. Alright, so what we've done is we've said that we've connected a signal and a slot. The sending object is going to be button 1, and the signal is going to be when it's clicked. So when button 1 is clicked, the window will notice, and how will it react? By closing. And actually I need one more parentheses. Okay, so let's see how this works now. Let's run this. That's right, this isn't all capitals. That's the class name. Alright, so here we have our GUI again, and now when I click on button 1, it closes the window. So something to know is this doesn't have to be a one-to-one relationship, like there's one signal gets connected to only one slot. You can have more than one signal that activates the same slot. For example, we can have button 1 or button 2 close the window. So here, Q object. Let's set it up so that button 2 can do the same thing also. So button 2 is the sending object. We're going to use the clicked signal. The receiver object will be window, and its slot will be close. So now we can have button 1 close the window, or button 2 close the window. So we have more than one signal that can be connected to the same slot. We can also go the other way. We can have one signal that activates multiple slots. Like for example, let's make button So let's make button 1 do two things, okay? So let's change this. Button 1 will, instead of closing the window, it'll do something to button 2. Let's see if we can make it hide button 2. So here's hide. So when button 1 is clicked, button 2 will hide. And let's see. Let's make button 1 do something else too. Button 1, when it's clicked, line edit will hide also. Okay, so now we have one signal that connects to two different slots. Button 1's click signal connected to button 2's hide, and it connected to line edit's hide slot also. So right now we're kind of limited in what we can do with signals and slots because we have to deal with just the predefined signals and slots. In a video or two, we'll talk about how to make our own signals and slots so that we can get useful work done. We can have our own functions get called instead of just these built-in functions.